Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Friday!
Here we are.
I was thinking on the way in, this is the first Friday in 4 months that we're really like, we don't have that big thing to come.
Yeah. No.
We're just kind of sitting here thinking about the other teams.
Well, the bye
still
week.
alive.
There was the bye week. But still,
I guess.
it's still
but
in
I mean,
season.
we could still talk about, 10 days from now or 2 weeks, and it's just now it's nothing.
That's it.
What a screeching halt, isn't it?
It's the dead time between the end of football and the start of baseball. I'm still excited about the playoffs, but it's not the same.
No, it's not
when
the same.
it's teams you don't care about.
You know what? You're going to laugh at this, Bull. You'll understand it. What I'm most excited about right now in the sports world, we're within a month of pitchers and catchers.
That's right.
That's what I'm most excited
Guards
about.
Fest this weekend.
That's right, baby. Let's
go. I'm excited to see, nobody. But a few guys.
Mile Strong.
But yeah. But this year, so I don't know if you guys know this, but the season's actually starting. The Dodgers and Padres are playing 2 games in South Korea to start the regular season.
Oh, I thought you meant like coming up soon.
No.
Yeah, the first
but it's
pitch
starting
of the season.
earlier. Like
Right.
they're playing, I think, the
March.
third week of March.
Yeah.
And then they'll fly back, and then the rest of the season starts. But so the Padres and Dodgers actually report to camp a couple of days before the Super Bowl, which is
Wow.
That's never
and then the
happened.
other teams are reporting to camp right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
The Super
the next
Bowl's,
week.
Baseball's starting a little earlier these days. The Super Bowl's been pushed back a week since they went to the 17
they're almost,
games.
which is perfect.
Back to back.
Yeah, right.
I
I
don't
don't like
wait,
what's in
hold
No
between time.
lull, because college
Guys.
basketball doesn't do it for
No.
me, and
No.
the NBA is still kind of in that boring stretch, waiting in April. Mikey,
Speaking
what do you
of
got?
reporting late, we have to address the elephant who's not in the room right now. G. Bush
Yeah.
texted us at
elephant not in the room.
9:50 this morning. At 9:50 this morning, said, "I'm driving in right now. I'm coming in real slow."
Well, then something happened to him because I was checking our system of traffic cameras. There's nothing. There's no.
He must be pushing the car from Euclid.
Or
Just pushing
he
it
ran
in.
out of gas, or he got stuck in a
Well,
ditch.
he
but
called
there
us
were-
and said he was running late. I don't know what happened.
I
I
don't
got the
either,
text at
because
10:46.
there
I'm
were
gonna be
no-
late. It's crazy on the roads right now.
But there, I don't know. Maybe there was something that wasn't being reported because I check into our network every once in a while, and it will show red, it will show orange, and I didn't see anything.
No.
Which was stunning to me. Even
Jason and I come
downtown,
from
there
the
was
west
nothing.
side. It only took me like maybe 5 minutes longer than
me
normally
too.
took.
Same
Yeah,
with me.
yeah.
It was nothing compared to what I couldn't get my snowblower started, which was infuriating.
Oh.
So, but both cars are 4-wheel drive. I just ran right over it. So,
Yeah, right.
Good.
Just got right out.
The
There's no
cars
problem.
today will do that. Let me give you a quick recommendation on the snowblower. I ditched mine a couple years ago. You're going to laugh at this, and I did too when someone recommended it to me. It's called the Snow Joe. It's battery operated. It's a shovel. It's light as hell, and it pushes snow as good as some cheap gas-powered snowblowers.
Yeah.
And to give you an idea, I used mine probably last March.
Yeah.
And I just do it for my sidewalks because I get the driveway pushed. But I've lengthy sidewalks. They're wide. I've got a lot of snow to push.
Yeah.
It's just been hanging there with the battery on it in the garage for 10 months.
Yeah.
I busted that thing out 2 days ago. Full power, blew my sidewalks and my
Really?
porches off in 10 minutes.
Wow.
So look at it. It's
I've got one of those big daddy those
That's
are
what I
fun.
had.
They're fun. I like
they're
using
fun,
those
but they
things.
take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
They use gas.
Yeah.
And it's just, when I saw this Snow Joe, I'm like, because I saw the video and I'm like, there's no way. Then I read the comments and everyone's like, unbelievable, unbelievable, great, great, great. So I bought one and I've recommended it to a number of people and they love it.
I have this thing called cell phone where I text a guy named Bill and I'm like, Bill, can you plow and shovel for me today?
So you do yours by the push by appointment then?
Yeah.
Wow, that's okay. I'm not I'm not. I couldn't do that.
Well, I signed up just today to have it plowed today because I can
Yeah.
get the snowboard. But I don't know how I'm going to pay him because I got to tell you the story. This is really funny.
Uh-oh.
So
Prediction: Jason lost his wallet. Knowing Jason, he lost his wallet.
No.
for cash and credit.
That
card.
It's
could
even
very
better.
well be true, but not the case here.
This was funny. I mean, it was horrifying in the moment, but it's funny, like because you just like, what's going on? So obviously I'm at the Athletic, which is now part of the New York Times. So when the Athletic first was purchased by the Times, they left everything alone. Payroll was like everything was always the same. Well, now they're integrating us more into the Times system. So they said, okay, you have to redo like payroll's completely different. The way we pay you is totally different. You have to re-input all of this. So like back in October, we're inputting all of this information and everything. And now with like the new tax codes and everything, obviously that was all redone with holdings and everything. And they said, do you want extra money withheld allowance, for taxes? And I do a bunch of freelance stuff, including this, where not all taxes are taken out. My wife works for a nonprofit. They're not great with taking taxes out. So I put down a sizable chunk. I'm like, just withhold that for taxes.
Each pay period.
Well,
I see
didn't
what's
realize
coming.
that.
They took it out all at once.
They took it out. So I didn't realize that you're supposed to do
Yeah,
it.
you gotta
So
do
I
it.
put for the year.
Oh, no.
So our first paycheck came the other day, and I look at my phone. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Like there was no deposit drop. Like odd. So I go and find the stub. My first paycheck from the Times this year, zero.
Oh,
Zero. It's like what?
no. You paid your tax bill all up front.
Have I been garnished? Like, am I being sued and don't know it? So I emailed them like, what is going on? And they said, you had money withheld. I'm like, yeah, for the year, not in one
Yeah,
check.
you're supposed to tell them over 26 periods.
Oh, so I still haven't been paid yet.
Oh, my God.
They're working on it. But the feeling.
You're good for it. We'll vouch for you.
I mean, but the feeling of like your entire check is gone in that moment.
that's
It's
not
like,
good.
what is going? I seriously thought like I had been garnished by the government, or I had been sued, or I was going to prison. I don't know. It was
Or they
wild.
finally busted you for your illegal wheelings and dealings.
Yeah, clearly.
yeah,
it was that.
I've been found out.
Yeah.
So whenever G gets here, he gets here.
He gets here. Yeah, we just learned the B in Jason B. Lloyd stands for broke. So Jason.
Apparently it
there you go.
does.
That's right.
At least
Don't
now.
come to me for
At-
no
at
money
least
for-
now.
Yeah.
Tim Couch on the show. This will be his last appearance this football season. He'll, of course, join us as needed if we need him for around the draft or the combine. And then, of course, he'll rejoin us at the start of next football season, next August or September, whenever we bring him back in. Today at 12:30, our 30-minute show on WKYC, which, by the way, will continue through the year, we're told.
Yeah.
So that show will continue, that 30-minute show on KYC will continue now all the way through 2024 on Fridays at 12:30. Today we're going to have fun. We all voted. When I say all, I mean everybody but G, voted.
By the way, G was given many opportunities to
Yeah.
vote.
I know he
just
was,
never-
and I saw
just don't want people to think we excluded G.
No, you
G
even
just
said
didn't vote.
Vote or you're going to be called out on the air.
G's having
So-
a rough 24 hours.
He's having a real rough 24 hours. So
Yeah.
what we did was we all voted on the top 10 plays of the year. And Mike tallied up the votes. And we will at 12:30. If you're a Browns fan, you're going to want to see this. You can agree with it. You can disagree with it. At 12:30, we're going to count down the best 12 plays from the Browns 2023 season, 10-1. See if it matches up with your list. That, so much more over the next 90 minutes. I see the elephant coming in the room now. In the meantime, good morning and hello to Mikey
Here's G.
McNuggets.
Bush. He made it. Let's get a quick FanDuel read, and then we'll hop into our first topic. The NFL's regular season is wrapped up, but there's still plenty of time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed just by placing a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose for brand new customers. And the best part about FanDuel is that the app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, including live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explorer tab. You can make parlays in the Parlay Hub, which is the best and most popular way to find pre-made parlays, and so much more. So make sure you visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And if you have any winning tickets from FanDuel over the weekend, whether you're betting on NBA action, NFL playoffs, make sure you send it to us so we can feature it on the show. And just so you guys know, FanDuel executives get to see these too, and they have been very impressed with some of your winning tickets. So make sure you continue to send those to us as the playoffs, as NBA
Do we have one
season.
today or no?
Not one today, but I'm hoping we're going to get flooded in the inboxes over the weekend.
I hope so.
with
There'll be a
winning
lot of
tickets.
betting this weekend. A lot of folks try to get in on that playoff action. You good, man? We were worried about you.
Man, these boys. Hey, I always enjoy. I don't enjoy it, but I always like when people get 4-wheel drive, and they think 4-wheel drive don't mean you can skate on 4 wheels too. Black Ice don't care about 4 wheels.
No, they don't. It doesn't.
I'm like,
Yeah.
You got that F-150. You're in the ditch right now, buddy. Good. We'll see what get you out of that, boy, because we have about 3, 4, 5 trucks. I'm like, look, I'm gonna go 25.
We were worried about you.
Well, G, we're glad you're here. Let's hop into our first topic, guys, because we have a condensed show because we're on WKYC, as Jay mentioned, later at 12:30. But the Browns are in need of an offensive coordinator. They have moved on from AVP. They've only interviewed one candidate so far. That was Andy Dickerson, the offensive line coach from Seattle yesterday. But my question today for you guys, how much say should Deshaun Watson have in whoever the Browns end up hiring as their next offensive coordinator?
How much should he have or how much will he have?
Yeah, there's a big difference between
Well, let's
the
start
two.
with should, and then let's get to
Yeah, how
will.
much should he have?
He
Jay?
should be involved in the process.
Yeah.
As the franchise quarterback, you should be involved. He will run the process. He's a $230 million quarterback. He's the most powerful figure in the organization. I think this is his call, period.
But you don't think it should be his alone?
No, I don't think it should be. No, I don't think it should be.
Is it in a way, if the Browns are handing him the keys, is it, to me, it feels like they're doubling down on a decision that already has been terrible. It's only 40% through. But we haven't seen anything in this 2 years that's made us think that he's definitively going to be week in and week out the Deshaun that was at his best in Houston. So is this compounding a potential mistake by now saying to him, okay, you pick it?
Well, I think that they're looking at it and saying, this is how we save it. This is how we salvage this. What do you want? What do you want to do?
They're riding or dying, no
Absolutely.
question. They have to.
Yeah, they
No
have
choice.
to. They're
Bull, what do you
230
think
million
about it?
committed.
I think the quarterback of the team should always be involved in the process.
Right.
If Jason's saying he's going to run the process, I mean,
run it may be strong, but
Yeah.
but it's going to be obviously he's going to be heavily involved in this.
that's terrible. I mean, the quarterback shouldn't have the ultimate say. No quarterback. I don't care who you are, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, anything. You should be involved in the process. If I'm a team, I want my most important player, my quarterback, involved. But he can't have the biggest say. That's crazy. And if that's the case, then the Browns are once again screwing things up. In my opinion.
This is a tough one. Jason put it perfectly. Should he have all that power, or is it just is what it is? He just has it. He shouldn't have it, but he got it. I like to go ahead and go on record and be like, well, look, if you give him, the most say in the quarterback coach or the offensive coordinator search, one thing that you can do is you can say, it's all on you, dog. We've given you everything.
Oh, I'm already saying that. It's all on him anyhow.
Especially if the play calling isn't necessarily going to be with Stefanski and they trying to do things to make him feel better about confident in his game, then it's all on him. And so you have to say, hey, look, if you want that type of power, it comes with a lot of scrutiny. And it's going to come with a lot of darts if you're not on point.
Yeah.
They going to expect
Even more than he's already going to take.
they're going to take some darts. And look, I can't help but think that they saw C.J. Stroud, and when you see something up close, your friends get a new car, and you say, I put the car off for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Then your buddy roll up on something new, and you be like, dang, man, Jason Lloyd out here winning. Babe, get it going. Give me a key. Give me a car. Something. I gotta get something. I got this Mitsubishi. This not gonna work. I think Jimmy Haslam saw C.J. Stroud and was like, "Yeah, we need that. We were supposed to be getting that."
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but to me it seems like the mood of the panel is that is the way it's going to go down, and may the football gods help us.
Well,
because he worked his way out of Houston because he was being vocal in who he wanted as his head coach, and he didn't get his way. So if this goes sideways, the Browns knew what was going on in Houston. The Browns knew why he was available, yet they decided to partner up with him. Not only partner up with him, gave him the keys. Here you go. So I think you guys are exactly right. I think it feels to me like Deshaun isn't happy with the direction of where things were going. I don't think he loved all the discussion over the last 6 weeks about, oh, we got to get Deshaun in that outfit. We need to get him running that. I don't think he wants to run that. I don't think he feels comfortable running that. And there is some value, by the way, in making your quarterback as comfortable as you
Yes,
can.
100%.
However, I liken it to raising kids. You want your kids to be happy, but if your kid wants to eat cotton candy 5 times a day, that's why you're there. You're there to say, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to eat 3 squares, and maybe you'll get a nice dessert after one of them, and you're going to be fine. And I just think in this case, it feels like this wasn't a Kevin Stefanski move. We said that earlier this week. It feels like he's going to have the loudest voice in the room. Let me ask you guys this. Kevin Stefanski puts out a name. Andrew Berry puts out a name. And Deshaun Watson puts out a name. How do you break that tie?
Hey, you got to throw Deepest in there, too.
Well, I know. Listen, he's probably going to be the ultimate driver with this. But my question here for this exercise is, if all 3 of these guys are in the room and they're talking and they've interviewed everybody and it's time to take a show of hands, and Stefanski stands up and says, you know what, I want Darrell Bevell. And Deshaun Watson stands up and says, no, I need Eric Bieniemy. And Andrew Berry stands up and says, no, I need Dickerson or whoever. Who ultimately, how is the best organizational decision going to be made in that instance?
I think it's easy. The smart organizations go with what the coach wants.
See, I agree with that.
I don't see it any other
Jay,
way. If I'm hiring an assistant general manager,
Then
well, I don't care who the coach wants.
Sure.
I care who the GM wants.
Because that's
if I'm
his area of
hiring
expertise.
a personal trainer as a quarterback, well, I don't care who the coach wants. I want who I want.
Sure.
This is a guy who's my right-hand man, essentially.
I agree
if
with that.
If you're going to be the offensive coordinator for Kevin Stefanski, he's got to be his right-hand man. There's got to be some level of respect and loyalty between the guys. If that's not the case and a guy's being forced on him,
I think
that's terrible.
It sours the relationship right away.
Right. I don't know
what
if
it tells Kevin Stefanski is, let's say they go with Andrew Berry or they go with Deshaun Watson's pick. It automatically tells Kevin Stefanski, well, I'm the low man on the totem pole. I've got to work with this guy. And it's automatically going to be contentious because I didn't want to work with you.
Yeah.
I'm being told by my boss, who will ultimately hold me responsible if it doesn't work, that now I've got to work side by side with this guy.
We said it when he signed the contract. I've written it countless times. As soon as they gave him $230 million, I know sometimes you get your feathers ruffled over the size of the contract, but the reality, or that fact that we keep talking about it, but the reality is, as soon as you gave him $230 million, he became the most powerful figure in the organization.
You gave him the keys.
Period.
Yeah.
Same thing with all the other big quarterbacks.
That's just the part, like, it's just the quarterback. If you're decent and you're decent, you're going to get to something.
I mean, all the quarterbacks have gotten a lot of money, and those guys have a lot of say. But
none of them have asked to be traded when they were told by the organization, we're not going to go with your guy, that I can think of.
I think it was deeper than that in Houston. He did want Bieniemy in Houston. He really wanted Bieniemy in Houston.
It was widely written, though, before the thing blew up. You know, remember, the timeline of it, and I went back and looked a couple days ago because I wanted to make sure I remembered it correctly. It was widely written that Deshaun wants Bieniemy, and they're not going to, and then boom, he asked for a trade.
But later in their careers, but both Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson wanted to be traded in recent years.
No, I don't know if the reason for, like in Russell Wilson's case, it wasn't because maybe he demanded that Pete Carroll was going to be fired, and if not, I'm leaving.
We don't know why, but they did demand trades. Guys.
It's funny that this comes up now because I just was talking in the run-up to the playoff game against Houston. I was talking to somebody last week, I guess it was before the game, who was deeply involved in Houston's proceedings when Deshaun was there and in the trade and everything else. And he did want Bieniemy, but also the way it was explained to me was Bill O'Brien had a lot to do with the downfall of everything. Yeah. I remember they traded Hop. So it was a lot more than I want Bieniemy, you're not going to give him to me, than trade me. It was more than that.
So that was a piece to it.
It was a piece to it.
And Bill O'Brien was the general manager, too.
He was.
And I mean, O'Brien did, Oh boy, some of the stuff that I heard about him in Houston, and now it's funny that he's the Ohio State OC.
He is.
So let's wait and see how that plays
Boy,
out.
he's bounced around a lot, hasn't he?
He has. He has.
He has really bounced
But
around.
I think O'Brien was very much responsible for a lot of what went wrong in Houston.
You know what's crazy? The crazy part about it is the way it works is if Deshaun Watson comes out and he is lighting it up, I just saw Joe Flacco go through this. People will forget all about it.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll be like, what, there was never a problem. What do you mean? As long as he keeps throwing these touchdown passes, they won't care what he
But
asked
the problem
for.
is, and this is what the organization is setting itself up for, if it doesn't go
No.
the way we think it should go, then we are closer to the end of the Deshaun Watson experiment than any of us realize if what we see next year isn't closer to what we saw in December from this team.
But remember, we turned the page. Remember? I said this has been 4 years running. I said first, it was Odell's fault. Get out of here. Then it was Baker's fault. Get out of here. Then I said, listen, Stefanski, you up next. You got 6 games. And guess what?
Yeah.
He passed his test. Now, if they get rid of coordinators, it's on you, bro. It's on Deshaun, all of it. You got to carry the whole organization. You got to say all the right stuff. You better throw these touchdown passes. You got your coordinator. You got what you picked the uniforms out. It's your 3rd year. You had the injuries, right? So people went through a lot of things. This season is pivotal. This is it. This is it. Not just for him and the Browns. This is a career-defining move.
I'm really anxious to see, guys, if they're going to take his play calling duties away. And we talked about this maybe yesterday because Jimmy and I had a conversation about this earlier this week. And when I asked Jimmy on the air on Channel 3, do you think that this is leaning towards him losing his play calling duties? Initially, he was like, I don't know. I haven't heard much about that. Yesterday, he was pretty definitive that he's going to continue calling plays. I don't know which way the wind is blowing, but I know fans are watching very carefully. If you take his play calling duties away from him now, after coming off the kind of season that he just came off, and you let him retain those duties last season, coming off a season prior where there were all kinds of question marks about play calling, fans are going to look at that and say, that's odd timing.
So here's the thing. We don't know for sure what's going on behind the scenes. We've all heard things, and we don't know. It'll probably play itself out in the upcoming days and weeks.
We'll find out eventually.
But here now, to me, it would be insane if he's not calling plays next year.
I agree.
The guy showed you this year against all adversity that he's an excellent play caller. If they go and hire an OC and that guy's calling plays, there's no way I believe Kevin gave that up voluntarily. Now,
there will
be a percentage of our fan base that believes everything that's said in public, because Kevin Stefanski is going to be a good soldier, right? If he does not call the plays, he's not going to say publicly, well, they forced me into it.
They won't, Bull, but we're all smart enough to know how that works.
We may be, but there's there's a percentage of the fan base that's always going to believe the propaganda.
Sure.
But you know what will seal the deal even for those people? If he doesn't have play calling next year and there's no extension, that tells you all you need to know. That combo will tell you all you need to know. And if that happens, and I hope it doesn't, I hope we're speculating. We don't know. If this is an ownership move, which I mentioned the other day that I heard that this was an ownership move. Don't know for sure, but
I've heard the same thing.
If this was an ownership move, and to the point where, listen, if they bring in a new coordinator just because they feel like they need a new voice, that's one thing. If they force Kevin Stefanski to give up his play calling and don't give him an extension, then he's neutered. He's neutered, and most likely next season will be terrible.
Let me ask you a question, Jay, because we did discuss this earlier this week, and I did some poking around yesterday because I wanted to find out, because honestly, I have to admit, I don't know what standard protocol is in the NFL. I found out from asking around, there's really no standard protocol. Each organization does it differently. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, we heard the news that Mike Tomlin indeed is coming back, and he's going to get his extension. I've always felt, maybe it's just because it's that way in college. In college, you never let a head coach go into his last season. It kills recruiting. They don't need to recruit here, but they do need to keep the momentum and inertia going in the same direction in the locker room. I find it odd that coming off an 11-win miraculous season in which whether or not he wins it or not, he's widely being mentioned as the coach of the year. I find it interesting, if not odd, that we haven't heard about a Kevin Stefanski extension yet. And I'm beginning to wonder if the reason we haven't heard is because there's some backroom discussions going on. Kevin, we're going to take the play calling away from you. Kevin may be looking at this saying, I'm not good with that. Or maybe the organization saying, if he's not a good soldier and he fights this in any way, we're going to let him go into his last year of the contract without the safety net of the extension. What do you make of all of that?
You always extend a coach with a year left.
That's what I thought.
It's a lame duck situation. It doesn't matter the sport. Yes, you're right about college football recruiting, 100%. But it's like that in the NBA, in NFL, baseball. When you have a year left, if you like the guy, that's when you extend him if you're comfortable with him. Otherwise, it's a lame duck situation. Nobody knows anything. And it just sort of hangs over the franchise for that
When
year.
does that typically happen? I have always remembered it happens the week after the season.
It should happen now. During this offseason, certainly, is when it should happen. If it doesn't happen, and there are some owners who like to take it up to the end. Dan was one of them. Dan Gilbert was one who liked to take everything up until the end, till the very last minute to get things done. But for the most part, if you want to promote stability within your organization, if you want to promote health, that's why I wrote a column halfway through the year. Extend him now. Extend him now and show everyone that things are different now. We have our guy and we're standing behind him. Obviously, they didn't do that.
Guys, what if they're analytical? What if they have the analytics behind them that says, we've seen Kevin's offense. We know, we charted what he likes to run. We know what the route combinations are. And when we compare this offense to other offenses, we feel that this offense cannot win a Super Bowl.
I think that's wildly inaccurate. Just because of the fact that he's gotten the most out of every quarterback he's had. Just look. Look what he did with Flacco. Look what he did with Jacoby Brissett. Look what he did with Baker. Baker had a great year this year, but he also was great under Kevin. Kevin knows how to get the most out of his quarterbacks. Now, it's unfair to judge this offense after you lose Nick Chubb and after you lose Deshaun.
Right. Oh.
What do you and you lose your tackles?
I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, I understand, but
to me, I keep going back to the move. I don't understand it. To me, it's like they act like 12 and they act like this playoff run never happened. Like
they are acting like
this
that.
is
a little weird,
right? Like, oh no,
if there's no extension in the next month, then there's definitely something.
I already think it's fishy. If there's no extension in the next month, it's egregious and malpractice in my view.
Agreed.
What are you doing? This guy was working with Dixie cups as his tackles and lost his best player on offense and 5 different quarterbacks. And we're having this discussion about, are they going to extend? What's wrong with this organization?
This is me. I came on the record and raised my hand and said, listen, Jason, you know what? The running game is mid, and Stefanski might need it. Listen, the whole second half of the season. So now we get to this point, and it's just like, man, they look like they went into these postseason meetings, and everybody got eviscerated. And you're like,
meanwhile, we don't know where DePodesta is on any of this stuff.
This is the first time in 24 years where the head coach and the GM, if you held up their product and their body of work, you would say that's good enough to stay here.
right.
This is the first time.
You're
it's
right.
the first time.
I think that's
where
unanimous.
you said,
It's not good enough, but it's good enough to stay.
well, yes, it's
Yeah.
good. You've shown enough to show that you are capable
They
in your
deserve
job.
more time.
Yeah, you're
You
not
deserve-
incompetent like all
Yes.
the previous regimes.
Yes.
Aditi made a funny point yesterday because she goes, as far as I can remember, this is the last time a Browns coach has ever gone into the last year of his contract. And I'm like, yeah, they're always fired way before that.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It makes
I can't
no
remember
sense.
the last time a Browns coach was renewed.
If Jimmy Haslam or Paul DePodesta or whoever,
Hugh got an extension.
he did get an extension, which is insane.
And then
He
what-
got a
oh,
one-year
oh,
extension.
see.
They kept that under
So
wraps.
let's just juxtapose what I'd forgotten it was so egregious. At 0-16, the man got an extension. And at 11-6 and a trip to the playoffs with smoke and mirrors, we're waiting.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah.
If Jimmy Haslam is unhappy after, listen, nobody's happy the way the season ended in the playoffs. It's not good enough. And if 4 years from now Kevin Stefanski still has one playoff win, then his ass has got to be out of town.
I agree with that.
Maybe
but
2
he's
years from now.
certainly done
But
enough
right
to get
now,
another look.
It's crazy. He and Andrew Berry have basically built this team from scratch. Yeah, some of the previous regimes have a few of the key guys here, but the team's gone from absolute trash to a legitimate contender in a few years. There's things they got to fix, and we don't know about Watson. But, man, I don't understand wholesale changes feeling needed after a season like this seems crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I can't imagine that the fan base is sitting back saying, what's really crazy is the apologist fans. Hey, they got to go. They've got to go.
There's a lot of them like, we don't care.
Okay.
I guarantee you this.
I agree that maybe change was in order, but is this where you're going to make your change?
I guarantee you there's a segment of the fan base that's like, we're making something out of nothing. This was Kevin's decision.
Oh,
blah, blah,
there
blah.
always is that
Yeah,
portion.
so that's where it comes from. We're purposely being negative or whatever agenda they want to throw on us.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
We're going to bring Tim Couch in, and we have a quick word. I'm going to let Anthony read this one because I failed yesterday. Ant, take it away.
I know we come to sports to escape from the crazy realities of real life, but can we talk for just a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. This is really scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than one of my loved ones or one of my kids, I don't have kids, got sick while a supply chain issue kept them from life-saving medicine they needed. Thankfully, we'll be okay because of Jace Medical. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, I don't know that word, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. Visit jacemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order.
Well, that was much better.
Jace Medical.
Tim Couch.
Jace.
Sorry to listen to that, Tim, but yeah,
I'll
Jace
do it
Medical.
tomorrow.
Bull, you got it. Tomorrow. Yeah, come in
I don't know
tomorrow
if we're
to
allowed
read
to do it.
What's up, Tim?
What's up, guys? How we doing today?
What's up, man? Tim, you know who? Hey, we're going to start this right off. Have you ever seen such? I thought that Kevin Stefanski was doing a good job. Here, lo and behold, Van Pelt is up out of here quickly and quietly. Like, what do you make of that? What do you like? Was it a rift, or how do you go from saying this guy did well because he had 5 different quarterbacks, but this guy don't call plays and he gets canned?
Yeah, I was definitely caught off guard by the firings on offense after the season. I definitely didn't see that coming. I thought Van Pelt had done a tremendous job since he had been here with Stefanski. Especially talk about the revolving door at quarterback, what he's able to do a year ago, what he's able to do this year with 4 or 5 different starting guys in there, getting guys prepared and winning football games. It's not easy to get that many quarterbacks prepared throughout a season and kind of alter game plans and get it ready for each specific guy and go out there and take a team to the playoffs. So I was really shocked by the move. So to me, when I look at that, it had to be something kind of going on the inside, maybe with their relationship or something. I'm totally guessing here. Obviously, I'm not in the building, but I thought on the field he was doing a great job. So it just kind of leads me to believe that maybe there was a rift between the two of them.
Tim, how much we opened the show with this, and you're the perfect one to ask this to. How much influence should a quarterback have in choosing an offensive coordinator, and how much do you think Deshaun will have?
Yeah, I think he should certainly be involved. I think he should put it. They should get his input, what he feels comfortable with. Do you know anything about this guy? This is the system he runs. How do you feel about it? I think they should definitely go to Deshaun. They've invested a ton of money in Deshaun. They're building this thing around him, so he should certainly have input. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to Stefanski. Stefanski's going to be the one probably calling the plays still. He's called them since he's been in Cleveland. I'm sure he wants to continue doing that. So it's probably going to be one of those situations where he brings a coordinator in saying, hey, I'm still going to call the plays. You're going to be involved in the game planning and those kind of things. So someone's going to have to agree to that more than likely. But I think Deshaun should have say. I don't think he should have all the say by any means. I think it's ultimately up to the head coach because he has to work with him on a daily basis, preparing game plans and practice schedules and all those kind of things. So I think, but I do think he should have some input.
Tim, if with the Browns coming off this season, which they had no business winning 11 games with all the injuries they dealt with,
right?
Kevin Stefanski's coming up to the last year of his contract. If they're bringing in a new OC, and if Kevin Stefanski doesn't get an extension, if you're a player, are you thinking like, what's going on here? Is there something wrong? Would that cross your mind as a player or no?
Yeah, I would think so. I just listened to you guys before I came on. You're talking about the history of the Browns and the coaches they've had, and you're talking about Hugh Jackson getting an extension after going 0-16. Stefanski certainly deserves an extension. It's kind of head scratching at this point why they haven't done it already. I think he's done an unbelievable job. He took the team to the playoff twice already. He's won a playoff game. This year, I thought he did an unbelievable coaching job. We talked about all the injuries they've had on the offensive side of the ball. And then on the defensive side of the ball, bringing in Jim Schwartz to shorten up that the defense and getting them playing at a very high level. I thought he did an amazing job. He certainly deserves an extension. They haven't had a whole lot of success in Cleveland. They've only been to the playoffs 3 times since 1999, and Stefanski's taken them twice out of those 3 times. So, in my opinion, it's overdue, and hopefully they can get it done soon.
Tim, have you ever seen a situation where a head coach was forced to take on a coordinator that wasn't his guy? And if so, how does that play out?
I'm trying to think if I've been a part of that or not. I don't think so. Personally, I don't think I've been a part of it, but obviously, I've seen it around the league, and it always seems like it's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable situation because they clash, with their philosophies a lot of times and their way of thinking and how plays should be called. There's certainly an art form to calling plays. It's a very, very difficult thing. That's why these coordinators make so much money at the college level, and they're so valued at the NFL level as well, because it's hard to do. It's not just looking at a page and dialing things up randomly. It's setting up plays at the beginning of the game to come back and attack them later. Seeing how they adjust to certain formations and shifts and motions and all those kind of things. There's certainly an art form to it, and guys really have to be dialed in and on the same page in that situation.
Tim, this isn't a trick question. What is the identity of the Cleveland Browns offense?
That is a tough one, and the first thing that jumps out in my mind is it goes through Nick Chubb when he's healthy. I think they're a run-first team. They're a play really good defense, run the football, get big plays off of play action with Deshaun, get him outside of the pocket, some of those things. So, I think this offense needs to run through Chubb. I think that's when they're at their best. That's when, they're moving the football. They're putting points on the board. They're staying ahead of the chains. Nick is one of those guys who doesn't get many negative yard plays. He's always going forward. He's 4, 5, 6 yards a carry. So I think when you have a running back like that, you build it around him. He's a special football player. In my opinion, I think he's, if not the best running back in the league, he's top 2 or 3 for sure. And, I think when you have a guy like that, you have to run through him. But, you're also paying Deshaun a lot of money too. So, you want to, showcase his skill sets as well. And like I said, I think Deshaun is very good at the play action pass and throwing the football down the field. And certainly that comes off of a good run game. So the play action is more effective to the defense.
So quick follow-up. The reason I asked that question is, if I feel like that's the way that the team is, that's their MO. If you talk to Leroy,
right.
if he thinks that you talk to Joe Thomas, same thing. So why is there this whole thing where they're trying to figure out how to build it around Deshaun Watson then? If you know it's Chubb, wouldn't you say,
right.
okay, well, let me build out the things so we can have the offensive line do our thing with Chubb? But it just seems to be that they're trying to transition, but they're not being successful in transitioning from a running team to a predominantly pass team.
Yeah, I just think they had a lot of injuries, on the offensive line. Obviously, Chubb was out, and then with Deshaun, you're paying him $230 million, and it's a quarterback-driven league. And you feel like you have to get big plays in the passing game. I understand that. I understand why they want to get Deshaun comfortable within the system and kind of showcase his skill sets and let him do everything that he's capable of doing with it. But I think it makes a quarterback's job so much easier when you do have that running game. I think if I'm a quarterback and I got a guy like Nick Chubb, I'm thinking, let's run it through him, and my job becomes very simple. If Nick Chubb is doing his thing, he's leading the league in rushing. It becomes pretty easy to throw the football, especially on early downs when they're loading the boxes to stop Nick Chubb. You get a lot of easy completions. You should have a very high completion percentage, and then also you have some opportunities for some big plays down the field. So, I don't know why they're kind of transitioning to that. In my opinion, it's run this thing through Nick Chubb until he's in. If he's healthy, if he comes back looking like his old self, you continue to run it through Chubb and until the wheels fall off. In my opinion.
Well, the only thing I'll say, Tim, is he's due $16 million this year, and he ain't going to see that. and I'm not even sure he's going to be back on this team. I think he is, right?
You watch your mouth, Jason.
I want him back. I think we're all in agreement he should be back, but he's not seeing $16 million this year on that contract, so he's going to have to take a lower base with maybe some incentive. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is going to look like, but that's got to play a factor in this too. It's just what I think you nailed it. Deshaun's making $230 million, and it's a passing league, and they're going to squeeze every dollar they can out of this, or at least they're going to try. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not really a question in there.
Yeah, well, I think I agree with you. I think what they have to do if they're going to go that route, they got to go out and get Deshaun Watson some help this offseason. They got to get him some more weapons at wide receiver.
Yep.
Obviously, Amari Cooper had an incredible year. Yeah, exactly. Right. We like him. We love him. We just want to add a couple more big players to the group and let those guys be complimentary guys. So
we need a few more David Bells. Comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
And Anthony
That's what we're
Schwartz
looking
is
for.
still available if we decide to go back to that one.
Right.
Tim, is that when you look at this team, is that the number one need? I think it is a playmaking receiver. But when you look at this team, with their top draft pick, whether they keep it or trade it for a player, where should they go with it?
Yeah, to me, it's obvious it's wide receiver. And, that big play wide receiver. You need some speed out there. Amari is probably the best route runner in all the NFL, in my opinion. The guy can create separation. He can get open. But he's not one of those guys that you're really scared of getting behind the defense. I think if you get one of those big-time wideouts on the outside that really scares and stretches the defense and loosens up the coverage, Amari becomes even more effective on the other side. So he's going to get open. He's going to find the holes in zones. He's going to create space and against man coverage as well. So I think it's obvious you go wide receiver and try to build this thing. And like we said, they're going to they're transitioning to more of a throwing offense with Deshaun and getting him back on the field after the shoulder surgery, and hopefully he's healthy. But you got to get the weapons. Obviously Njoku had a career year. You're set at tight end. You got a really strong offensive line once everybody's back and healthy. You got to add playmakers, to this offense to really make it go at full speed.
Tim, this is obviously it's the first time we've spoken to you since the disaster last Saturday. How shocked were you? Maybe not necessarily that the Browns lost, but just how they lost that game.
Yeah, I was shocked at both, really. I thought that was a game that they were going to go on the road and win. They played them a few weeks earlier, and just, they looked like a much better football team than Houston. But, I give C.J. Stroud a lot of credit. I really do. I didn't think a rookie quarterback would be able to thrive in that situation, making his first playoff start. I thought the Browns and Joe Flacco had a huge advantage going into this game. With just the experience level of Joe and some of the other guys that have been in playoff games. But Houston played a great game. They really had a great game plan for our defense. That's the first maybe the first game I can remember all season long where the defense really just looked kind of lost, and the offense, Houston was kind of doing whatever they wanted, getting a lot of big plays in the passing game. Like I said, CJ played unbelievable, and then the turnovers with Joe. He had made quite a few this year, but the back-to-back obviously pick sixes are going to kill you in any football game, and the wheels just kind of fell off in that one. But it's just hard to feel disappointed in this team for making a playoff run with everything that went on this year with all the injuries. So I think obviously it's a huge success this year, and a lot of that credit goes, or most of the credit goes to Coach Stefanski and his staff for getting these guys ready week in and week out, bringing in the necessary players they needed to just to compete each week when guys were going down, and just bringing in the right pieces and ultimately getting a playoff season out of this thing.
All right, Tim, thanks for your input throughout the season.
Before we let Tim
Probably,
go, hold on. We got one more for
else?
Tim. Tim, I'm putting you on the spot here. I should have asked you earlier. Bad job out of me. But in our WKYC TV show today, we're ranking the top 10 plays of the Browns season. In your mind, Tim, what was the best single play from the Browns season this year? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Bad job out
Top
of
of
me.
his
But
head. That's
That's tough, Mike.
Yeah,
just
that's
number one.
tough.
Just the number one.
Do I have some options? Oh,
Yeah,
man,
a couple
I'm trying
ones
to
that are
think. Number
candidates
one.
from us are the Amari Cooper touchdown catch for Chicago, Newsom's pick six, Myles Garrett blocking the field goal, Jerome Ford's run. Those are a couple that'll be on the list. It's in some order.
I would probably have to go with the Myles Garrett blocking the field goal. That's an unbelievably athletic play for a guy that size to be able to jump over the line and block the field. He played. That was one of the best defensive games I've seen anyone play in the last several years. In that game, he just dominated and controlled that whole game and changed the outcome of that football game. And so I would probably go with Myles on the top play.
Tim, where's your son going? You allowed to say? Has he picked a college?
Not yet. So we got one more visit coming up next weekend. We're going to go up to Boston, and we're visiting Holy Cross. So we're going to choose between Kentucky and Marshall, and probably Holy Cross at this point. So we'll see. He just wants to take that one visit, go see it in person before he makes a decision. So we're probably going to be there in the next couple weeks or so.
Nice.
Hey, Tim,
Good luck.
let me just say
Thank
something
you.
very quickly. I don't know if it'll matter or not in the long run. My nephew just completed his freshman season at Holy Cross. He played here at St. Ignatius and could have gone to any number of Power 5 schools. He had some really named schools on his list. He chose Holy Cross. He has zero regrets. Loves the academic experience. He's brilliant. But more importantly, he played at a high level, and it is still possible, even though it's only happened, I think, once, to go from the NFL from Holy Cross. If it makes any difference, if you want to talk more about it, give me a call off the air. I can give you more details, but your son's going to love it when he goes and visits, and you will too.
I appreciate that, Jay. I've heard nothing but good things. I heard their facilities are unbelievable. They're top notch up there. So really looking forward to getting up there and seeing the campus and stuff.
Well, at least he don't need NIL. He good in that area. He good. Dad,
No, you know what? Dad is the NIL.
that's NIL.
I've been NIL since the day he was born, so I guess I'll continue to be.
Isn't that the truth? Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. All right, guys. Enjoyed it. See you.
Awesome.
That's a great
We're gonna
line.
get to our we'll get to our playoff preview in one sec, but I have a question for G. Bush specifically after a quick word from FanDuel. The NFL regular season may have wrapped up, but still plenty of time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed just by placing a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And the best part about FanDuel is it's simple and easy to use, and they have so many different options and ways to bet, including live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explorer tab. You can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best and most popular way to find pre-made parlays and so much more. So make sure you visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. G. Bush.
Yes, sir.
2 minutes real quick, then we'll move on to our playoff preview, then talk a little Cavs. But Austin Watkins declined a futures contract opportunity with the Browns. He signed with the Philadelphia Eagles on a similar futures reserves contract. Will the Browns regret not giving him more of an opportunity to showcase what he can do in an actual NFL game as opposed to just showing out
Where'd he
the
go?
preseason game?
Philadelphia?
Philadelphia.
Oh, no, they ain't going to regret it. He going to get no ticket in Philadelphia.
How does he get on the field in Philadelphia?
I'm just going to keep real. They got A.J. Brown and Devontae. Sometimes Devontae Smith, I'll be like, where did he go?
I know.
Like, they got – but I understand what he's doing. Like, I would have gave him a shot. I don't know why at the end of the year it was like, yo, you got David Bell and
I'm stunned by that.
the cast of the get-along gang. I thought at least throw him out there a little bit, see what he got.
Jason, do you know why they didn't give him a look?
I'm trying to remember back the Bengals game. You get 2 practice squad elevations. Who did they use the 2 on? I don't remember. I should.
I mean,
One was Riley
after looking
Patterson.
at our wide receiver play this year,
And it was
like it's not like these guys were tearing it up and there's just no room for him. My God, give him a look, call him up, throw him a couple of passes and see what he can do.
Yeah, I thought the Bengals game he might get a look. And the only thing, and who was do you remember, Mike, who the practice squad elevations were?
It wasn't
Kicker.
Driscoll and Patterson?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
maybe
kicker
that
was.
it.
And Driscoll,
And
right.
Driscoll.
Hey,
So those were kind
so
of
you
important
had to have
spots.
those,
You
but-
had to have those.
My God.
I feel like when that happened, I think he took it as a signal like, hey, it's not in
That's
the cards
probably
for me.
why he left.
It's not in the cards.
And,
for
you know,
me.
they do like their receiver room. I mean,
that is a haymaker every time. It hits every time you say that. I don't know why. It just does.
because it's absurd. And it was the company line the whole season. No, we don't need anybody. We like our receiver room.
Yeah, he didn't get no.
You're going to die with it, so
Yeah.
I hope you love it.
Shout out to Watkins, man. You know, he's one of the ones I got to take that on my scorecard. You know, I'm still waiting for the Imani base to pay off, but I did get Sam Merrill and I did get DeJuan Jones. So you know, it doesn't even out.
You hit some, you
lose
miss some.
You lose some.
Well, if he does something well somewhere else, I'd still count that as a win.
Yeah, you're exonerated.
Yeah, if he gets some catches over there, I'm gonna be doing victory laps. If he starts for the Eagles, I'm like, man, I need to be a scout.
All right. Well, that was easy. I appreciate it. We're going to move on. A little playoff preview here, guys. Looking ahead. Can CJ do to Baltimore what he did to Cleveland this past weekend?
Is it messed up that I'm scarred? I don't want to talk about it. Like, I know it's my job, but I'm like, man.
I hope he does. Because if he does, it doesn't make our defense look like they were made out of wet paper the whole day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my hope is he will go through that Baltimore defense, but my expectation is he's not going to put up 31 points on them. I just don't see it.
Is that Texans loss more disappointing than the Knicks loss?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Hell,
I
Jay had
thought
him
so.
going to the Super Bowl.
Right? I thought they were going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't have the Cavs
You're
going
right.
to the NBA Finals.
You're right.
But I didn't have the Browns
I
going to the
mean,
Super Bowl either.
Yeah, the vitriol is. I think we just gave the Cavs more. They just get it worse than the Browns.
Yeah.
You know,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, like, I caused a huge stir Monday by flippantly saying that, like, there was empty seats, and I thought that the noise was a little bit louder.
You went viral.
I said Houston.
did?
Oh,
Yeah.
Houston was
y'all
furious.
viral.
Multiple Texans players quote tweeted.
Multiple.
The whole city of Houston
Viral.
was furious with me for
Really?
Yeah, it was just
That's hilarious.
it was just a flippant comment.
But
I made.
there were empty seats.
Yeah,
Because I asked people that were at the game, too. They
Mike
said,
came
there
to
were
the
empty
Cavs
seats.
game the other night, and I was talking to a couple of the reporters who were in Houston, and Sean, the photographer here at Channel 3, is like, oh, yeah, I was standing in the end zone. I saw him in, like, the Red Bowl and higher. And a couple other people were like, oh, yeah, there's definitely empty seats. I didn't say it was half empty. I just said I saw empty seats, and I thought it seemed louder than what it is. So, anyway, to the city of Houston, to the Texans organization,
Wow, are you going to apologize?
I sincerely apologize for absolutely nothing. You cowboys! You're a bunch of cheaters. We know you're a bunch of. The city of Houston is sensitive over cheating allegations. Who would have ever thought that the city of Houston and their sports fans would be sensitive over cheating allegations? So for all of you big bucket wearing, big belt wearing hillbillies, let me tell you something. I am known on this show as being dead inside, as being the one person who doesn't care about anything. Thank you for relighting the fire inside of me and bringing out the pettiness within me. I will root against every Houston team till my dying day. I will piss on your grave every time a Houston team loses. Go Ravens. I hope they dismember you. And I hate saying that because I love C.J. Stroud and I love D'Amico Ryans. I think they're great at what they do. But now you've made it to where I have to root against them. I hope the Ravens pound you into the ground. I will wear a Raven. I haven't worn a jersey in 40 years. I will wear a Ravens jersey on this show to celebrate them pounding you into submission. So yes, Houston, I'm not lying. Y'all have a crappy fan base and there were empty seats in the stadium. Deal with it.
Man, you better hope that Houston doesn't win.
I don't care.
What are
I
you
don't
gonna
care.
do? What are you gonna do?
Can we sell Houston to like Mexico? Can we just sell them?
Do a trade.
Just sell them.
Sell the whole state.
Give them.
Give them all
just
Texas.
give them back.
What's
Give
interesting
them
to me,
back.
Jay, you never go on rants, but
Wow.
when you do, they are popcorn worthy, man.
That was great.
It's the rage.
That was fantastic. It was
It
an
was
all-time
great.
great rant. I am rooting for Houston because I hate Baltimore, but
No, I'm rooting for
I get it.
Baltimore because now
get it.
I hate Houston. I hate.
Yeah,
I
imagine
hated
your
it long
fans.
before last week, but now I really hate Houston.
I'm gonna go to Sam's Club during the game.
You don't want anything to do with the result?
No.
The answer
I
to
just
the
go
question
Sam's
is
Club
yes,
to walk
Houston
around.
can beat Baltimore, no doubt.
Yeah, no, I think the question was, can C.J. Stroud do that to Baltimore's defense?
Yeah, I
because I
think
think they
so.
can win. I just don't see them. I don't see him putting up 31 points on the
I mean,
Baltimore defense.
if he can do it to the Browns, he can do it to Baltimore.
If C.J. Stroud put,
well, it's in Baltimore. That's another
Yeah,
huge
I hear you,
difference
but
to me.
if he put up them points against Baltimore, Jimmy Haslam gonna start firing more people.
Yeah, right.
He's like, this Stroud kid, I want one of those guys. Defensive coordinator has to go. Jimmy, you do know he has nothing to do with
There's a good
that.
joke I could tell about Jimmy Haslam with C.J. Stroud, but
No, see,
I
I
shouldn't
think
go
it's
that far.
worse for the Browns if CJ and the Texans offense go to Baltimore and score 3 points. I think at that point you're looking at your Browns defense saying you couldn't stop them, period.
Yeah.
They were averaging 8 yards a play.
But the
and,
parallel-
and Baltimore holds them to 3 points or
But the
whatever. That's not good.
The parallel in the description is we gave you 3 first-round picks on top of the quarterback. So they looking at it like, we got the better of that and the 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
That hurts your soul a little bit. You like, even though it's not a direct comparison.
Do you think Jimmy in an honest moment would come out and maybe not to the media, but tell friends, yeah, I shouldn't have made that deal? Or do you think that he, in his heart, says, well, this deal's going to take us to a Super Bowl?
I think they're still holding on for another year.
So he hasn't yet said that this was a disaster.
I don't know, but I just think I think that they'll give it another year.
he did give
Let's
you an
face it,
extension.
Jimmy's not the sharpest tool in the shed, so I think he still believes it.
There's a lot of people that always say this.
Yeah.
You never apologize. You double down. Now, we all know.
They've doubled down.
That's what they're doing.
I think they done tripled down. Everything is on this year. That's it. They acted like
because if this year doesn't go well, you have to start thinking about a new quarterback.
This is what you call in poker pot committed.
There
Your
it is.
chips are in the middle of the table,
100%.
and you're chasing it inside straight on the river, and you ain't getting out.
And you only have one of the 5 cards you need.
By the way, teams that in the Ravens case, remember they sat their guys week 17.
They did.
Then they had a bye.
They're inactive almost a month.
Right. So the teams in their scenario that rested guys the last week, then had a bye, are 3-4 straight up, 1-6 against the spread.
Which goes along with the trend previous to
Yeah.
that.
Now, it doesn't always go with the trend, but
San Francisco did the same thing, by the way. Rested starters week 18, had
Yeah.
to bye.
Yeah, I ain't
both
seen
months.
Lamar Jackson in weeks.
Yeah.
not to mention Lamar Jackson's track record in the playoffs is pretty awful.
So who you guys picking? Baltimore?
Baltimore.
Straight
All
up or
day.
versus
Yeah,
spread?
straight up.
I'm picking Baltimore straight up.
Ravens.
What about in the other game?
Wait a second. Straight up or versus the
Yeah,
spread?
straight up. Just pick them straight up. Who's winning?
I'm picking the Texans to win the game outright.
Wow.
So I guess it doesn't matter point spread or not.
What about the other game?
Traitor.
Kansas City, Buffalo.
You're a traitor.
I got Buffalo winning this.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's gonna be a great game.
Yeah, it is.
It is going to be a fantastic game.
Buff-
I'm picking Buffalo, too, because the Kansas City
Josh
offense
Buffalo's
hasn't looked like the Kansas City offense.
Kansas City has had, the Bengals had Kansas City's number, and then last year in the AFC Championship game, the Chiefs got over that. Conversely, Kansas City has had Buffalo's
Right.
number.
Man.
If Buffalo can't win this time at home for the first time, this is the first road playoff game that Patrick Mahomes has ever played.
Outside of the Super Bowls that were neutral
That's
sites.
not road.
Yeah, no, it's a neutral site.
Yeah, but
It's not home.
It's a true road game. This
Right.
is a road
Yeah.
game, no neutral site.
Right.
It's the first time he's ever had to do it.
And it's going to be a road game.
It's going to be crazy. Now, the weather doesn't matter because they play in that same.
No, but I'm
weather.
talking about the crowd.
John's going to be bonkers.
Josh Allen is out here playing like Captain America right now. I don't like it. He's just running people over.
I feel like that's
You can't
the
tackle
How about that touchdown run he had last week?
Yeah, he's running away from people.
That
I'm
was
like,
crazy.
It
what
was
is-
ridiculous.
I'm like, yeah, he in his bag right now. Like, I could see this game actually being kind of a low-key blowout.
Did you guys see the meme about Josh Allen and his career? How he had 0 scholarship offers coming out of high school. He went to JUCO and played 1 season and sent coaches, 1,000 different coaches. He mailed them their link with his huddle highlights from his 1 year at JUCO. He got 1 callback. It was from Wyoming. 1.
So weird.
And by the way, it's not like he was 6'1" and grew into this guy.
Right.
He was that guy
He
coming
was
out of high
very
school.
inaccurate.
He was. He gained
But-
a lot of accuracy in his first year at JUCO and was still even inaccurate.
Yeah, but even in college, he wasn't
was.
very accurate.
He was, but compared to his high school, I think that was the knock on him. He's throwing the ball all over the place.
Yeah.
He was like the fastball pitcher that
But
you
it
didn't know if
still
it was
doesn't
gonna,
make any sense because his
One-
athleticism and his size.
I know he got 1 callback, and the only reason that Wyoming saw him, they went to one of his JUCO games and were scouting another player on the JUCO team that Josh Allen played for, and they said,
weird.
"Wow, that kid's got a lot of tools," because he was rough. There's no question.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of tools. And when Wyoming announced his signing, they actually said something to the effect of, "Here's the guy that's going to lead our program for the next 4 years." And look at him now.
The transfer portal has shown you one thing. People used to think Power 5 teams only had good players. Now, Power 5 teams is like, oh, let me go get that left guard from Kent State and start him. Like, there's good players everywhere. Like, development at certain ages, maybe you don't even have everybody don't even have gyms, weight rooms, or even a weight program. So a lot of these kids got raw talent. They get them in the program, and then they find out, oh, this guy's a late bloomer. And now these late bloomers, instead of staying where you are, they're like, I was telling Tim, hey, you go to Holy Cross, you're going to have to watch out. 2 years, Florida State will be like, hey,
Sure.
we got a spot for you right here.
Yeah, if you flash enough, you're going to be looked at. Let me ask this. So I think everybody but Bull thinks it's going to be Baltimore. You've got Houston. I think Buffalo.
Bills.
So Buffalo. To me, that game feels like the AFC Championship.
I'm taking KC for the record.
To me, you're taking Kansas City.
I said all year I just felt like the Chiefs were bored and they pull it together, but man, I don't know that I can say that anymore.
I mean, they played well last week.
But there just feels like there's something internally is just not the same.
Oh,
with
you
them.
do?
It just feels that way.
They
right?
they throw helmets every week. The Chiefs never had to throw helmets.
Well, I don't know. We've seen Patrick Mahomes doing some of that this year.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean until this year?
Until this year.
Oh, you're right.
It was Patrick Mahomes used to walk around with that hoodie on, that little Parker coat, cocky.
Yeah.
Like, guys, we got this.
We got this.
That
It's
little
all good.
mohawk hanging out.
He had no frustration.
No frustration.
But boy,
He be
this year's
chilling.
been
This year is
completely
different.
Seth Wickersham wrote a great story. They had two back-to-back.
I love Seth.
Oh, he's great.
Unbelievable.
He's great. And they did a really nice job, him and a couple guys that they did one on the Patriots and the unraveling of Belichick and Kraft. Terrific. Go read it if you've got the time. And then he came back with one on Mahomes. And he talked to Steve Young about the Taylor Swift effect and everything and going on. And people roll their eyes at it or whatever. And Steve's like, it's real. It's this thing that you live in. And Steve would know, like, quarterback in the NFL. And he said it's not necessarily anything that you talk about or that feels like a distraction or anything, but it's just this weight that just hangs over
follows
everything. And you just
There's
feel
also
it.
some stuff there with the wives.
Yeah,
in that situation,
and that's real. Like I've talked about, I've talked about that with the whole.
Yeah.
But I've talked about
that cult.
I've talked about that with the Baker and the Deshaun thing. Like a lot of the wives were close with Emily, and then and they get rid of Baker, and these guys go home and have to hear it from their wives of why they get rid of him and and that's real. That happens. Man. And so there's that sort of thing that just hangs over.
You got to build a wall between that.
Yeah, so it just feels like something. I'm not saying it's Taylor Swift, but I just thought it was an interesting note that Steve Young went there in that article and said it's just this thing that you feel that just hangs over.
It still can't surprise anybody if the Chiefs win this game, though.
No, of course not.
Oh, it won't surprise me. No, I'm picking the Bills.
I'm picking the Bills too.
Listen, it wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl.
I
don't think they're going to win it. I just don't.
Well, if they could get there, why couldn't they win it?
I just think that to me, San Francisco is the team that's most equipped to win the Super Bowl.
When you get really, 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 really famous, I don't think there was anything wrong with Tim Tebow. He was just extra good. He was extra churchy, right?
Churchy.
He was just extra praise and worship service.
Right.
But
he was super churchy.
But it was this thing where it was just it just weighs on you because you go from, if you that famous, there's going to be some people that like you, and then there's going to be a whole lot of people who dislike you.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because there is nobody, name him, that's universally loved.
You're right.
Who is it?
No.
Nobody.
No.
And
Denzel Washington.
I got a couple haters.
He has detractors.
How could anybody hate
And
Denzel
you know what's
Washington?
funny? You know what's really wild about that is most famous people don't know that, and they want to be universally loved.
Yes.
And it's that, and I've had famous people tell me, it took me a long time before I realized, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to be. Look at LeBron.
I spent every day with a man who for 4 years wanted nothing more than to be loved by everyone.
Because for the first 15 years of his life, 16 years, of his, up until he was a high school senior, there was no knock on LeBron.
James Earl Jones. Who doesn't love James Earl Jones?
I'm sure someone doesn't
No,
like him.
James Earl.
Hey, real quick, guys, before we move on to the Cavs, give us your just who wins in the NFC matchups. You have Bucks, Lions, and 49ers, Packers. Who are your winners?
Niners.
Lions, Niners.
Yep. Same. Lions, Niners.
Which means it'll be the Packers.
Those
and the
damn Packers. Those damn Packers. I don't know what's gotten into Jordan Love. He done threw 20 touchdowns and one pick.
What's interesting is we have the same thing going on in the AFC as we do the NFC.
Good
the number
granted.
one seed is going to play a team that just came from nowhere, and their quarterback looked like he's all world. Mm-hmm. And the same thing's going to happen in the NFC. And I think both matchups are fascinating, but I think both matchups will end with the favorite winning.
I'm gonna say, give me the upset. I'm gonna take Green Bay.
Really?
I'm gonna take Green Bay. I was really impressed. The way they did Dallas was dirty.
They did.
They did them
I think
dirty.
I think Green Bay beating San Francisco is a much bigger upset than Houston beating Baltimore.
I do too.
So that'd be the biggest upset of the
Yes,
weekend.
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
I
That'd be the
agree with
biggest
that.
upset.
Yeah, I agree
I think
with
it's
that.
far more
Well, I mean,
I just think San Francisco's Is San Francisco the betting favorite right now to win the Super Bowl, or is it Baltimore?
Only because the NFC doesn't have as tough competition.
No, I know, but I'm just asking because I don't
I
know the
think
answer.
so,
They're
yeah.
slight favorites, and once
So
again,
San Francisco-
slight over Baltimore, but it has to do with the NFC as opposed to
Sure,
the
there's no
gauntlet of
question.
the AFC.
If Buffalo beats Kansas City, there's nobody beating Buffalo. I'm convinced of that. I think Kansas City's the only team that can beat them.
I'm going with you, Bull.
Well, that's my
Bowl.
Super Bowl
Yeah.
pick.
I'm
It's
picking-
Buffalo and San Francisco.
All right, guys, we have Jason Lloyd in here. We have Jason. We always like to talk a little Cavs because no one knows the ins and the outs of the Cavaliers better than our guy Jason. But first, I know we come to sports to escape from the crazy realities of real life, but can we just talk about preparing for real life for a quick minute? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of important antibiotics right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade, and that's scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than one of my loved ones or my friends and family getting sick with a supply chain issue, keeping them away from life-saving medication they need. But it's okay because, thankfully, we have Jace Medical. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics that treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, and it can happen to any of us, which is the scariest part. But luckily, JaceMedical.com with the Jace case helps you complete your physician encounter online. It gets reviewed by a board-certified physician, and then your medications get dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at just a fraction of the regular cost. So it's never been more important to be prepared than today. So go to JaceMedical.com, use promo code LOCKEDON, and get $20 off your first offer.
Much better.
That was
little
way better, Mike.
Hey, Bull.
Thanks.
But he didn't.
See, I got him going there.
There was no medications listed. Where's the list of medications?
No, he didn't go to amoxicillin.
Next,
I don't need
Next
the medications.
Thursday.
I had a little change of tone along the way. I had a little more energy. It felt real and less reading.
Bull,
Well
who's
done.
the best in the industry at live reads?
Oh, that's easy. It's me. But besides
that was the
that
most
was
obvious
coming.
answer.
Yeah, you knew that was coming.
I mean, people still. I haven't done.
Perino Holmes!
I haven't done a commercial live on air in 2 years, and people still see me and go, Delmonico's, baby.
Yeah,
My
was that your
tagline.
tag? Did you come up with that?
Damn right I came up with that.
That was nice. Do they still use that? Does anybody still?
I don't know if they still use it. I'm
I
not
think
sure.
Howard Stern is good at them, but his aren't reads. He just
Yes,
you know, he
but he's not as good as he used
turns
to
it
be.
into a story. No,
he
now
half-asses it a little
listen,
bit now.
you can, for me,
Yeah.
Howard Stern is nowhere near where he used to be.
Well, now
I thought late 80s, early 90s Howard Stern,
it was the best ever.
untouchable, the
He's
best
still-
ever.
It's funny though because he gets. I know we don't want to talk about this too long, but for 30 seconds, he gets great guests, which he never got then.
Right.
And his interviews are very good.
I think he's
the
the
rest
best
of the
interview-
show
yeah,
sucks
right,
besides his
yeah.
interviews.
By the way, shout out to Shannon Sharp, Club Shay Shay.
Oh, he's
on
making
That is
one
blowing
interview.
up.
Wow.
Cat Williams, one interview.
And look at what that's spurned.
the #1 podcast in America right now because
Amazing.
of Cat Williams and his
Was
crazy
it Club,
rant.
Club Shay Shay?
Club Shay
Club
Shay.
Shay
Shout
Shay.
out
It's
to
I
that
do
dude.
not find Cat Williams funny.
Well, he didn't
Like-
got to be funny. He's
boy.
a cultural phenomenon right now.
Controversial now.
He
Next
don't need-
Thursday, by the way, I'm going to have the best Jace Medical read of all time. Trust me. I
Love
have,
it.
I have it
I
in the
love
plans.
it.
Next Thursday when Jace Medical comes
We're
back.
raising
I'm
the
gonna-
bar.
Over the weekend.
Raising the
I
bar
am-
here,
yeah,
baby.
raising the bar to levels that Jace Medical read has never gone
Can
to.
I
That's
make
all
a
I promise.
recommendation? Don't read it.
Oh, you'll see. Trust me. Just,
Yeah.
I have a whole
just
thing
talk
planned.
it.
I have a whole thing
Live
planned. It's
it.
going to
Be
be
it.
phenomenal.
Are you going to
Phenomenal.
eat some of the medication?
No, but I may do a little acting, and it may be a package
gonna
to play
eat
out.
some
So
of it.
I feel like
I'm not
I
promising
like it,
what we
Mike.
got.
I like
we'll
you
see what
bringing
we
it up
get.
a
But
notch.
we have Jason here, and the Cavs at this point they've played 39 games. Some teams have played 42. This is the midway point of the NBA season. The Cavs are red hot right now. They're without some of their best players. But the question I want to ask you guys today, at the halfway point of the 2023-2024 NBA season, do you believe the Cleveland Cavaliers are in that bubble of legitimate NBA title contenders?
I don't. That's all I have to say on it. Now you guys can go.
Jason?
No, I don't think they are. I don't think they are. They're good, but I don't think they're ready to be the Boston type Milwaukee when they're whole and healthy and
Right.
popping.
G?
Denver, they're not in that category.
Kool-Aid or no?
Man, this is tough.
Does Kool-Aid transfer to the NBA? I don't even know.
You know, I've been tough on
Is
them.
it Fago? Maybe it is.
Yeah, I'm going to actually say yes. And the reason why is if you can win a first-round playoff series, get into the second tier, and if you get a matchup where, look, hey, Embiid has been out. They got Maxey. He's been playing out of his mind. But you look at the teams. Like, The teams that we thought was going to be there are there. Indianapolis, they're below the Cavs right now. The Raptors are. The Magic, who started off good, were. There's a lot of teams. The Hawks are trash. It's basically 3 teams, and the Bucks don't really play no defense. So their defense has gone down. That trade for Damian Lillard really hurt them defensively. You got Boston in the mix. Obviously, they the top of the food chain. But look, Miami just showed you with a hot run, a good scorer or alpha guy, you can make it to the finals like they did. And if you're shooting the ball well, shooting is improved. Now, am I going to pick them to win the East? No. But do I think they can get to a second round and make that very competitive and possibly go to a Game 7? Sure.
But second round's a long way from the NBA Finals.
I think the question was, are they a finals?
So if you win 2 rounds, right? Where would that put you?
You at least have to get
you in the
you at least
Eastern
have to get
Conference
to the
Finals.
conference
You have to get to the
championship.
conference finals.
Let me ask you guys
conference
this.
champions. So
Let me ask you guys this.
Okay.
Do the Cavs have one of the 10 best players in the NBA?
No.
No.
When's the last time a team won an NBA championship without one of the 10 best
I don't know
players
that
in
you
the
can
NBA?
name a time.
2003.
Detroit. That's
Pistons.
the one that everyone
That's
says.
Well, how are the Cavs a contender?
They're not.
I could argue some of them Spurs teams. Them Spurs teams with they was playing
Careful.
LeBron. Them Spurs teams, I don't know.
Tim, they had Hall of Famers.
But at that
Tim
point,
Duncan,
was
Tony
they top
Parker.
10?
Yes.
I gotta go
Tim
look.
Duncan was.
I gotta go look.
If they
man.
weren't, they had a number of guys in the top
They had-
25.
When the Raptors won, was Kawhi a top 10 NBA player?
Of course.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
he was.
Absolutely.
So then he was in San Antonio. Then they had Tim Duncan. You got LeBron's championships. I can't.
That's
think
the
of
All
one
the Warriors
sport.
championships with Steph. I mean,
the Bucks had Giannis. The Nuggets.
That's the one sport where one guy,
Yeah.
we saw it.
And that's
For
it.
We lived
one
it.
guy
We lived it.
can carry a team in the NBA far more than baseball. Even an elite quarterback in the
And
NFL
I
needs
agree.
someone to throw to.
because there's only 5 guys on the floor.
That's
The
right.
only example that we can give is the Pistons 20 years ago.
And that's what everybody clings to.
And the game was so different then.
It was. Much
And before
different.
that, who was the last team? You just can't win that way.
I mean, the Lakers and Celtics runs, they had not just one top 10
right,
player.
the
Some
Bulls,
of
the
them had-
Pistons.
it's just
the 1980 76ers. There you go.
They have Dr. J.
And he was past his prime. He was out of here. Moses
That's
Malone was that
40,
best player.
45 years ago.
I just had to
Yeah.
pull. I got to try to pull something, bro.
I don't understand. Does anything that's happening right now in the NBA matter?
Well, to answer your question, real quick, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. I think it would be the 79 Supersonics.
Lenny
Who was their
Dang.
best player?
But again,
Dennis Johnson won Finals MVP.
But again,
I'm not sure if he was top 10.
No, he
that
wasn't.
the game that they
Yeah,
played
it's-
then
right, doesn't matter.
even
It's
resemble.
irrelevant.
Right.
No,
So
I know.
there's-
I'm
now.
going. You have to go
So
that
there's
far
been
back
one
to
team
find
in the last
exception.
30 years, essentially, and that was over 20 years ago, that won a championship without a top 10
I think
player.
last 40
That's the
years.
exception, not the rule.
So, hold on. Let's
Yeah.
go back. The year that the Warriors won a couple years ago, I don't know if Steph's a top 10 player at that point.
oh, come on.
He absolutely was a top
At
10
that
player.
point?
Yeah,
Damn
no
mind,
question.
G.
What,
You're out your
what
damn
year was
mind.
that?
When they won 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was. Are you?
All right,
G,
well, here's what
G,
here we go.
I love you, man. Come on.
LeBron, we can start going. LeBron, you got Luka, you got Joker. That's 3 right there.
There's 7
You got
more,
7
G.
to go.
So hold on. Hold on.
No,
Let's think.
Steph was top 10.
He's
was
more
top
like
10.
9.
He's top 10.
top 10.
He's top 10.
Where is Donovan Mitchell? Is he top 20?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's top
Yeah, he's
20.
top
Top 15?
Might be.
He's probably in that 15 to 20 range.
I think he might be top
I don't know off
15.
the top of
Okay,
my head.
the bottom
He's
line
probably
is
around 15.
12.
The bottom line is no team besides that Pistons team 20 years ago has won a championship without. They have very little playoff experience. They have very little successful playoff experience. Yeah, they're playing really well right now. Beating crappy teams. Good for them. It's great. It's fun. It's fine. They'll go to the playoffs. Maybe they'll win a round this year. They're not beating Boston. These teams are teams that know how to win in the playoffs already. They're not winning any championship. We all know it. So let's not mess around.
There's always exceptions, but usually with the NBA, there's a progression to this. You get in, you get knocked out. That's what happened to them last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then
Then
you
go
win
a
a
little
round.
farther.
Then you go
then
another
a little
round.
farther. It's what Boston did. Although
Yeah.
Boston actually was ahead of the curve as quickly as they made the conference finals.
I mean, it happened to
as
Jordan. It
young as
happened
they
to
were.
LeBron. It's just there is a progression.
There's a progression to it.
But is this team Have they taken a big enough step forward? I think, look, if they played the Knicks again in the first round, they might beat the Knicks. They might.
Also,
right now they're supposed to, they're 4-5.
But this is what's so complicated.
I don't think they're getting past Philly, Boston, or Milwaukee in the playoffs.
Who all have top 10 players.
This is why it's so hard to figure out the Cavs this year. They've had 11 games with their starters healthy. 11. That's it. And they're 6-5. That's it. And they're not going to have their starting lineup back for another few weeks at least. Darius just got the wiring out of his mouth from where he broke his jaw, but he's lost a ton of weight because he was on a liquid diet for the last month. He's nowhere near game shape, so it's going to take him another couple of weeks yet to get to ramp back up. So now you're like up at the trade deadline before you're even whole again. So it's hard to I wrote about this the other day. The way that they're playing right now is fun and like it's incredible. We've given all this praise to Stefanski for the way that he kept the Browns in it and the way that they got to the playoffs with all their injuries. JB's doing the same thing on the Cavs.
Said that yesterday.
But the difference, Jason, is that the regular season is not an indication of anything.
Yeah, we learned that. I mean, I've screamed that every year, but that was never clearer than last year.
Right.
But the point I'm making is like they're playing great right now, and if you look at their net rating, they're top 10, which is incredible since these guys went down. Since Mobley and Darius went down, they're top 10 in net rating. They have the best winning percentage in the league since they lost Mobley and Darius. Now, yes, it's regular season. It doesn't matter. Okay, fine. You still have to play the schedule. You still have to play the games in front of you, and they're doing great. But when you bring these guys back in, Mike and I were talking about this at the game the other night. Can Mobley and Allen, can you run a successful offense with two non-shooting bigs playing next to each other? There's people in the Cavs who say yes, they think it can work.
We haven't seen it yet.
I'm not so sure. I mean, we talked about before the show, if Mobley become a three-point shooter, it changes everything and unlocks everything, but he hasn't shown he's going to be there. Fixing the small forward spot with Max Strus helps. Like that helps balance the floor and it helps spread things out a little bit more. But Allen is playing out of his mind right now without Evan there because it's 1 in and 4 out. And when you put 4 shooters around one big, you can have a ton of success playing that way. And I've talked all year about it was supposed to be Evan. Evan was supposed to be that guy.
But he hasn't developed into that guy.
And now he's hurt, and now Jared is putting up unbelievable numbers while Evan is out. So when you bring a ball-dominant guard back like Darius, and the ball flow isn't quite what it is now, when you put another non-shooting big next to Jarrett, can you still have this type of success? We only have 11 games to go off of, so it's unfair really to say yes or no. But when you look at the rest of the East, when you look at the talent in Boston, in Milwaukee, in Denver, in the West, I look at the Cavs and think they're too young. Like they just have to go through it. And I've said this before. Mobley could be a beast 3 or 4 years from now, 5 years from now. Darius Garland in 3 or 4 years they could be a great team in 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Mitchell will be long.
The problem is Donovan's contract is ticking a lot faster than 3, 4, or 5 years. So that's sort of the issue that the Cavs have right now. Are they a contender this year to win a championship? Probably not. But they're a good, fun, young team to watch, and that part of it, that's okay.
For me, and
if that's enough, then status quo.
I think for a lot of people it is, right? Yesterday ESPN, I saw Steve texted us that ESPN and ABC's ratings are up. I don't know what the Cavs ratings are compared to last year on TV.
I don't know.
I feel like the last handful of years, we've gotten to a place in the NBA where the players and teams are telling us, as clear as day, that the regular season doesn't matter. And it's hard for me to get excited now about anything in the regular season. When I was a kid, I love regular season NBA. Those guys played every game. They wanted to win and even if they didn't, you didn't know it. Now you know it. Milwaukee said, we're not going to play tonight.
And that's why I took exception.
And that sucks.
That's why I took exception with the Cavs last year saying, 51 wins, we won 51 games. It's like, but you just tell us, every team tells us the regular season doesn't matter, so you can't come back now and take a victory lap for 51 wins when the regular season doesn't matter.
Especially when you go 1-3 against the Knicks.
And to your point, Michael Wilbon told a great story about when he was covering the Bulls and the 1 year, you could go look, I don't remember the year, but you can go look where like all of the Bulls players played like 80 or more games.
Yeah.
Because Michael would go in the trainer's room and Scotty would be up there getting taped.
Oh, I've heard this
whoever
before.
was over there. And Michael would go in the trainer's room and go, get out, go get dressed. You're playing, get out of here. Because if you're in the trainer's room, you're maybe not going to play that night. Michael's like, nope, you're fine. Go get dressed. We're suiting up tonight. And,
we don't have that anymore.
And that mentality. But the teams encourage that. It's not even the
right.
players.
It's not just the players.
The teams
Well,
encouraging.
because it's all about load management.
And running in the red. And rest is important. It's important. And teams have tried to combat it by staying over an extra night which they never did before.
Right.
So if you got a long flight, rather than fly after a game and get to your next destination, whether it's home or another city at 4 a.m., you'll stay over and you'll fly the next morning so guys get a good night's rest. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. But reducing the schedule is not it. Because if you go from 82 to 72, then they're only going to play 62. They're still going to sit 10.
Sure.
So there is no great – I still think the best solution in order to cut down on travel is you turn it into a baseball schedule. We've talked about this before. We've seen it a little bit where when the Cavs go to Milwaukee, they're going to stay in Milwaukee for 3 days. They're going to play 2 games. When you go to a city, you stay there for X number of days.
I'd be for that.
It cuts down drastically. I haven't run the numbers, but it cuts down just logically on the amount of trips you have to take,
Right.
on the wear and tear of the travel. It gets these guys more rest, and I think that's the way to go. And it's going that way more and more. The Cavs actually don't have any back-to-backs, I think, coming up.
what would
Maybe
really-
I don't know. There's some month this schedule
Yeah.
where I just happen to notice the Cavs don't have any back-to-backs.
Is
I've never
it
seen that
February
before.
because the All-Star break is there,
Maybe.
so there's a chunk of it out
The
already?
easy solution is a solution they will never take because it will cost them money, and that's you cut the amount of playoff teams. This is
No,
absurd.
you know what? No league is going to, moving forward, cut inventory.
No, I hear you, but that would solve the problem.
Well, yeah, it would, because let's face it, how many times has a 5 through 8 seed made the finals?
I think Miami
happened
last
last
year.
year.
Yeah, Many.
What you
Well,
do?
didn't the Cavs one of
how
those
many
years
times
where
has a
they-
5 through 8 seed
But
made the finals?
I would argue you're probably going to see it more and more.
Right,
You
because
would?
You will see it more
going to.
Because because the regular season means nothing.
Yes.
The better teams always used to be the 1 and 2 seeds all the time.
Always.
Now it changes a little bit because guys are sitting and they're resting.
What you do is you incentivize playing, and you say you got to hit a certain amount of games, or you're not first team All-NBA. Certain
They
amount
Well,
of
they've
They
done
did
that.
that.
Well, they've done that.
But I make it punitive. Like you can miss like literally 8 games.
Right, but if the rule was only 4 teams make the playoffs in each conference, again, it would never happen. But that would solve the problem.
Well, I think what they're trying to do with this in-season tournament is they're trying to generate enough revenue.
But they did play hard for it though. I thought it was a good product.
I think it's a gimmick. I'm not in favor of it. I
That
think
was
it's
embarrassing.
silly.
The Lakers put up a banner for that.
I agree.
They
But
played hard.
I think what they're trying to do is generate enough revenue off this in-season tournament to either reduce the number of games or whatever, do whatever to try and fix the regular season. I'm not sure it's going to work.
Play-in is awful.
But I think that's one of the driving factors
I
behind
like
it.
your suggestion on the baseball schedule. I really do. It makes perfect sense.
Now, the pushback I've gotten is the teams don't like it because it's harder to sell the second game. When it's the same team in down for a Tuesday and a Thursday, it's hard, especially if it's a bad team, it's hard to sell that Thursday game. But if that's the best reason you have against doing it, to me, that's not good
If
enough.
you up the quality of the product overall in every other game, I think it's worth it.
And I think maybe it makes scheduling harder. I don't know that you can do that with every team.
Right.
And I mean, especially teams that share buildings.
Who shares buildings
LA.
at this point? They still do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For another year and a half,
That's
and
it.
then the Clippers stadium opens.
Yeah.
Everybody else has their own.
Yeah.
I mean, make everything. I like that. I mean, make everything. What about realignment? And maybe you play or maybe the East never plays the West, and the West never plays the East.
I would not like. It's funny because in baseball I don't like interleague, but in NBA I want teams to all play each other.
Yeah, as an NBA fan, I want to see LeBron come
Absolutely.
here. I want to see, and so
That's-
it would be.
yeah, that's
it's
part of
probably,
the-
you're
that's
cutting
part of
off
the
your
appeal.
nose to spite your face.
Every team
okay,
goes
we have
to every
super
city.
chats.
We got a couple super chats to wrap up the show, and super chats today are brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL regular season may have wrapped up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, which, as I said, is America's top undisputed best sportsbook in the world right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed just by placing a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, and the app is simple to use, and they have so many different options and ways to bet, including live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explorer tab. You can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best and most popular way to find pre-made parlays, and so much more. So make sure you visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. A couple super chats. Last one's a question, so I'll save the question for the end. The first one from Brody's Bottom Line says, I confirm what Jay said. It's perfect. I don't know what that's a reference to, but The shovel. He's talking about the shovel.
Oh, the shovel.
Perfect shovel.
Oh, yeah, Snow Joe, I'm telling you.
Shorty Xander 13 said, I said a couple days ago Joe Thomas is joining the Munich Ravens.
Yeah, he's right.
And
He
he's
is.
right. Yeah, then a YouTube
Yeah, we kind
channel.
of crapped all over that news,
Yeah.
but he's which is surprising
Yeah.
because we asked Joe when he was here, any thoughts of getting into coaching or front office, and he said, yes, when my kids are grown.
Hey, good reporting. Hey, listen, take that victory lap, dog.
Maybe
you got
it's
it.
less of a commitment over it. Like it's less,
Yeah,
you
their
coach
season's
here, it's more
probably-
year round.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, we have no idea what it is, but he is coaching. Shorty
Yeah.
Xander, good call on that. Brody's bottom line said, did Joe Burrow tell Cincinnati to pick Jamar Chase? I'm not sure. I think that was in relation
He
to
was
how much-
involved in the conversation.
Yeah, by the way,
certainly.
I think that's different. We didn't have that conversation, but I think that's a different conversation. We were talking specifically about coach. The reference is, well, Joe Burrow said he wanted the wide receiver. That's different. That's a personal relationship and an on-field relationship that if you had in college and it worked, yeah, you go to the general manager or the front office and
was
say,
the
hey,
right
for what it's
call.
worth, and it was the right call.
Sometimes it works.
Yes,
Sometimes it works.
Sometimes
Three
it doesn't.
more real quick. Charles T said, G. Bush looks like Golden Corral Tiger Woods. And Charles C also says, Jay always looks like the guy that would cut in front of you at the Maitre D desk at the fine restaurant and says, my usual table and bottle, Brittany.
You know, I got to tell you, it's funny that he would say that because my pet
That's two
peeve,
good ones.
and I've heard a lot of my colleagues do it, and it makes my skin crawl to the point where I'll say something to them. My pet peeve in life is not even asking for that. I would never ask for that, but accepting it. I don't. If someone sees me in line and says, hey, you know, we've got something for nope, I'm good. So
You're
I'm
a better
sorry.
man than I am. I
I'm
say
sorry,
last-
but you
I'm
judge the book by an improper cover. I would never do that.
I
Last
totally
but not
would.
least-
I absolutely would.
Let me
No,
get
you
Jason
wouldn't.
first.
Yes, I would.
Especially
No,
at the
you.
Cheesecake
That's
Factory.
so
I'm hungry,
douchey.
We got
I'm
one
hungry.
more. Last but not least, Devoid Archangel, real quick, said Bill O'Brien at Ohio State, good fit. Fan of the move? Yes or no? Real quick.
No.
To be determined, but so far
After what I heard last week, I'm not so
Yeah,
sure about this.
I'm only basing this off a football only. Someone told me yesterday after I was talking to him about the move and said, the drama you get with him is a lot, and it ends up ultimately being too much. But the football product always improves. And that's all I care about. I care about the football product on the field and what they've done in the portal and what they've done with getting some kids and this move and the athletic director. That, to me, the move I most love is the athletic director. Things are going to move and shake in Columbus.
It's all about that
And I
portal.
love that.
Ross Bjork's the man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I had someone else tell me yesterday that dealt with them at A&M. They were like, you are going to love what this guy does for Ohio
When
State.
Ross comes on the show, I'll tell you a story about why there's a good chance Ant and Director Steve are not here without Ross Bjork. I'll tell you that story when Ross comes.
Ooh, that would be interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Awesome dude.
All right, great. We're taking a quick break. We're going to pop up in 3 minutes and 10 seconds on WKYC. We are counting down the best 10 plays from the Browns' 2023 season. No, the Joe Flacco pick six will not be one of them.